Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to present the Public Works budget to you tonight. Tim James, Director of Public Works. Make sure I do this right. Last time I did, I scrolled through them too fast. Real quick for Public Works, we're comprised of seven different divisions with a total of 252 employees. We have administration, engineering, traffic engineering, utilities, streets, solid waste, and equipment services. Although our primary function is to get our job done out of sight and out of mind where people don't even realize that we're there, I did want to bring to you just a couple of accomplishments that you're aware of for last year. We continued to work and develop our optimized street reconstruction process, which, as you know, is the only one in existence right now, so we continue to refine it and make it successful. We also helped with the Real Texas Road project, the street bond. We were actively involved with all the public information that went out, and then once it was approved, our task was to get it under construction by March, and we did achieve that goal and got it under construction as we told everybody we would. We are also instrumental in the Motley Drive project. We went through another round of public meetings. We also, based on the input from the citizens, we've redesigned that project. It is currently being advertised for bid at this time. So we're on schedule with all the information that we put out through that process. We were also participants in the Thompson Square project, another round of public meetings where we got a lot of public input. We are redesigning that project based on some of the comments we received, and that project is also on schedule to be advertised soon for construction. The third project that you're aware of is our Gus Thomason, not to be confused with the Thompson Square project, two separate parts of town, but the Gus Thomason Road project. We recently completed our preliminary design and had our first round of public meetings with that project, and we'll be bringing those results to you the next meeting or so you'll have the input from the citizens with that project. We completed a wastewater asset management plan this last year, where this is a tool that's going to greatly enhance our ability to make decisions on how we spend dollars on our wastewater infrastructure. We also completed preliminary evaluations on our I-20 water and sewer, just brief estimates on what's going to take to extend utilities out in the I-20 area. And we improved our website features. These are some of our biggest accomplishments for our residents, enable them to enhance their reporting directly to the divisions that will take care of it. And if you've gone to our Real Texas website, the interactive map where we can keep the citizens up to date weekly with the status of each of those roads. Our challenges as we looked 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, they kind of all became three major points for us. Our first one is aging infrastructure. Through the Street Bond Project, we presented a lot of information, statistics on how our street assets are aging, and it's no surprise that water and sewer and all of our assets are aging in similar fashion. So our job is to keep these operational for our citizens, and so that's one of our major challenges, and it will continue to be a major challenge through time, is our aging infrastructure. Also, especially this past year, we're starting to see an astronomical increase in our construction cost. Right now, it's becoming very difficult to project what our costs are going to be because contractors are not hungry. They have jobs. All cities have jobs out there. When we came through the recession, a lot of the contractors went out of business. Well, they haven't all come back into business. So right now, there are fewer contracts and more work going on out there. So a lot of our cities and consultants that we use are experiencing the same situation. It's to project costs because the bids are coming in high because they have enough work. So that's another challenge that we face from here on out. With all of our infrastructure, it gets more expensive over time to rehab it or rebuild it. And our last one's the employee recruitment and retention. Yes, we're the elephant in the room. And we appreciate all the efforts of HR. They've done a great job helping us look at all the different ways we can to get employees that will stay, find new ways of incentivizing them to be here. And so they've been a great help in having us expand our opportunities to get good employees. This is the basis of how we provide service. Our employees are the backbone of everything that we do, so that's so vital for us to have good employees that will stay here. With that turnover, every time we get a new employee, our guys have to train them. They have to show them what to do out there, and it takes them a while to get up to speed so they can be productive and efficient and provide good customer service. So we're just as interested as anyone is get good employees in here that are going to stay for a long time. So that's how come we really appreciate all of HR's help in trying to get us to that point. Basic overview of our budget for next year. Slight increase in the general fund. A little bit larger on the water and sewer fund. Primarily, everybody knows North Texas water cost to us keep going up. We have a significant decrease on the DUD funding. We bought some capital items last year that we won't be seeing in this year's budget. Our budget offers. So behind door number 1, we have for you. Our first one is solar-powered LED street lighting for residential neighborhoods. We get a lot of requests for increased street lighting in our neighborhoods. This is an offer that would provide for 10 locations, solar-powered LED. We can get street lights put in neighborhood through Encore. However, sometimes there's a significant cost with it. If it's an LED street light, it's within our right-of-way. We don't have the requirements for easements or running power to those locations. So this is provide us the opportunity to have control over those locations. We're also requesting 4 additional radar speed signs. Right now we only have radar speed signs on Tripp and Pioneer. We get those requests quite often for additional radar speed signs. So this is a budget offer that would provide for 4 additional signs for next budget year. We're also requesting the installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacon units. These are the ones, you've probably seen them in Garland. These are mid-block pedestrian crossings that flash when a pedestrian comes up, and so drivers know and they slow down. We have 5 locations. All the locations that we're proposing are associated with schools at this time. So we have a lot of increased concerns over kids crossing, going to school, where there's not a signal, but there are locations where kids or pedestrians cross, and so we're proposing 5 locations for these units in next fiscal year. We're also requesting to purchase a spray injection pothole patcher. You might have seen these in other locations. This is more of a single-man outfit. We currently have 2 crews that address potholes. We could purchase this piece of equipment and reallocate some of our staff and create a 3rd crew without adding any additional personnel, which as you drive around town, you know our potholes are not diminishing, so this would enhance our ability to further keep our streets in good condition of longer period of time, especially as we get into winter months when it gets cold. We can address more potholes throughout the year.
So do you want to elaborate? What is a injection pothole patcher?
It's a single unit. It goes out for more of our smaller potholes.
Yeah.
It cleans it out, and it can spray in both the material, the oil-based material, and the rock to fill that pothole in. Right now, we have to bring the cold mix or hot mix, depending on time of year, out, compact it, roll it. This is a unit that can do the smaller ones all by itself.
Really?
So it speeds up the process.
You'll have to show us a picture next time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Our next one is the addition of a construction inspector. With all the additional work that we have going on with the projects that are out for bid, we're going to have many of them under construction. And then the new development that's going to be coming, the key aspect for us on the public works side is making sure all that new infrastructure gets put in well and is constructed so it will last a long time. And the key personnel for us are the construction inspectors for this process. 2 other budget offers that we have are in the equipment services, and they're administrative clerk positions. The first one is service rider. We have, with our new MUNIS system, we have the ability to collect a lot more data and transfer work order information between departments to get our equipment assets repaired. However, with that requires data entry. And right now, the people doing the data entry are our mechanics, and we need those guys fixing the vehicles. We need those actively working on the vehicles and not doing the data entry. So the service writer would be a position similar to when you go to any dealership that works on your vehicles. There's a person who inputs all the data on what you need and coordinates that. That would be this position. And they would greatly enhance the time spent on the equipment by our mechanics. We're also asking for a person to do vehicle registrations. I know everybody's familiar with the Texas two-step, one-sticker program. Well, it applies to the city also. Historically, we would register a vehicle once when we got it. Well, now we have to do it every year. So we have 850 pieces of equipment, about 700 vehicles. So that's 10 times our workload. Right now, our assistant manager of equipment services does that. So that's really not the person that we need doing that operation. We need a clerk to handle that so our assistant manager can do what he needs to do, purchasing equipment, making sure they're maintained properly. The challenges with this are, once it's a mandate put on us by the state, and every time that we get a new piece of equipment or even our existing equipment, we have to go down and register them at the tax office. Well, when we do that, they only let us do 2 or 3 at a time. So it's a very time-consuming process that we have to go through to do. It sounds simple, but we spend a lot of time doing this when this really needs to be done by more of an administrative type position. We're also asking for sanitary sewer inspection equipment and software. As I previously mentioned, we have an asset management plan, which is a rating criteria for our sanitary sewer. And this piece of equipment would allow us to really enhance our inspection of the sanitary sewer system. That's key for us making good long-term decisions. And there's a lot of technology that can replace some of our manpower in inspecting it, and will really enhance our ability to rate what we have and use our dollars in the most efficient manner. We're also asking for water storage tank mixers. These actually go in our ground storage tanks and elevated tanks. Last year, TCEQ enhanced our testing criteria, and so now we have to, without getting all the details, it's nitrites and nitrates that we have to test for. And what really enables us to meet those criteria is fresh water circulating in the tanks, and that's what these mixers will do. The age of the water is what will allow us to keeping it fresh will help us to meet all those criteria. This is just for 3 of our locations. We have more tanks than that, but we just wanted to go for 3. These are most critical for the first year. One more is we are asking for some additional road base for our compost facility. We have a lot of people, residents, visitors that come out there each year. Primarily, it's not a paved surface, so over time, with weather, especially the rainy season we've had this year, our old road base begins to compact and sink in, so we're wanting to add some additional compost facility, especially for our visitors that come out there. And lastly, we're asking for additional topographical data. We purchased this through a consortium with the North Central Texas Council of Governments, so this is just a small portion of the total project, and it would just be for the city. We use this extensively, especially as we look at our new utilities, preliminary designs, preliminary locations, the slope of the land, so we can figure out where to put them and do preliminary projections. So having accurate data is very important to what we do, especially as we get into the I-20 corridor with undeveloped areas. In summary, we have increased general funds slightly over last year, some increase in the water sewer fund expenditures, a decrease in the DUD, and then our budget offers focus on 2 specific areas: public safety, which is all of our transportation needs, and then infrastructure maintenance. So with that, any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. James this afternoon? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Casper.
I think it was your first budget offer. You had the solar LEDs. I was just curious how the lifetime of use compares to the Encore models.
Well,
the wired models, or
the Encore, we just pay an ongoing fee, and they would maintain them.
Okay.
The LEDs last a lot longer than traditional lights, so that's one thing that we're ecstatic about is having LEDs.
Thanks.
Just really some comments. First of all, I'm grateful for the consideration of the LED lights, because we do have some sections of different neighborhoods that are so terribly dark that residents are just afraid sometimes at night. So I appreciate that. As far as the retention, you do have some folks out there just getting beat up, especially in this 100-degree heat. I drive around town and sometimes talk to those guys work on the streets or reading the water meters and things like that. I appreciate what they do. I'm thankful that we have the luncheon each year for the public works folks and the events at the pool for employees. I hope we keep doing stuff like that to show those folks are appreciated. And I appreciate the hard work that you guys and gals do out there. That's pretty much all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Dan?
Mine was just out of curiosity about the brightness of these solar lights, how they compare with what we have right now out there.
As we look at each of the locations, we want to make sure that we have the right amount of light on the street. They vary. We can buy any different kinds of wattage and illumination, and it'll be vary on location on how far apart they are. We don't want to make them too bright that it's an annoyance to the residents, but we want to make it enough that it illuminates the area that we're looking for. So it kind of varies by location.
Okay, thank you.
Are those costs all inclusive? You say 10, that's $8,600 a piece. Is that equipment and installation both?
Yes, that's
Okay.
a turnkey.
Any other questions?
I do.
No, Shay?
On the dynamic speed signs, help me understand why we would want to do that.
For areas where we have speeding, they allow us to do two things. One, they do record data, so we get to constantly record and see what the speeding is in the area without having us to go out and put up trailers periodically. That's a continual. We can download those each month and know what's going on. They also help in the fact that it helps to remind drivers on an ongoing basis if they are going too fast. It doesn't eliminate it, but it is a reminder. It's kind of like locks on your door.
Okay.
Keeps our drivers honest.
In terms of the data that it provides, though, doesn't that kind of create a problem for us if that the percentiles of the speed go up? If the speed goes up and that 80th percentile or 75, whatever that percentile is, then doesn't that put us in a position of having to consider raising the speed limit
Yes,
on that road?
That's correct.
So okay. Well, we can talk about it some more.
I'll just interject that the locations where we were considering these are locations we get constant speed complaints and constant requests for the trailer. So in order to respond to the citizen concerns, we are constantly putting out those speed trailers anyway. So we're already gathering the data without putting up something permanent.
And those,
Wait just a minute.
okay.
I guess I don't know that there are a lot of us on the council that are interested in raising speed limits for different areas around town, especially when we're getting speed complaints from citizens. So I'm just a little concerned about putting ourselves in a very difficult spot.
Sure.
So,
Like I said, though, it's a budget decision. So I think I appreciate your comments. I look at it kind of like what Cliff's saying a little bit, that if we're putting trailers out every so many months, if it comes back, I mean, the data's the data at that point, whether it's temporary or permanent. So, I don't know.
I think that there's a big distinction between a speed trailer data that's deployed on a temporary basis versus monthly data that is downloading. So,
Sure.
But, okay.
Mr. Allman, do you have something?
The rectangular rapid flashing beacon units, these are all going to schools, is that right? Different 5 locations of schools?
Yes, the 5 locations that we have, that we are proposing for our list. I have to get my notes here. They are on Galloway in front of Poteet High School, on Galloway in front of Kimbrough Middle School, on basically at Sain and Fielding for the West Mesquite High School, on Cartwright for Horn High School, and then on Bruton at Savage for the kids across to McWhorter Elementary.
And is that by higher complaints as well?
Yes, those are locations that we received a lot of concerns and complaints over time.
On the Kimbrough location, do we have crossing guards? I know that's not us, but I drive through there each day, and I feel like we have a man crossing guard at Galloway and Kimbrough.
I would have to check. I believe
Okay.
so.
We got two, one on each side of the street.
But there is another crosswalk that's not manned by the cross guard.
Greg, I'm like you, though. 7 years on the council, I've got a lot of calls from people saying, let's lower the speed limit on my street. But I've never gotten a call from one that said, let's raise the speed limit on my street.
They did that on Trip, didn't they, Dennis? Once they widened it, they go up. Yeah. I remember that. All right. Any other any other questions?
Just
Go
one.
ahead.
Never mind.
Okay. All right, Mr. James, thank you.